Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Sumukascha Ekadantascha Kapilo Gajakarnakaha Lambodharascha Vikato Vignarajo Vinayakaha Dhumaketur Ganadhyakshaha Phalachandro Gajananaha Vakratundaha Surpakarno Herambaha Skandapurvajaha Sutrambaradharam Vishpun Sasivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasanavadhanam Dhyayet Sarva Vignopasantaye Yasyadyanadavaktraadhyaha Parishadhyaha Parasatam Vignam Vignanti Satatam Vishvaksenam Tamastraye Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheswaraha Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Satchidananda Rupaya Krishnaya Aklishtakarine Namo Vedanta Vedhyaya Gurave Buddhitakshine Krishna Dvaipaya Namvyasam Sarva Bhuta Hiteratam Vedabjabhaskaram Vande Samadhi Nilayam Munim Janmadhyasya Yataha Anvayat Itaratascha Abteshu Avignakaswarat Tene Brahma Hidayaha Adikavaye Mukhyanti Yat Surayaha Tejovari Mridam Yata Vinimayo Yatrati Sargo Mrisha Dhamna Sena Sada Nirasta Kohakam Satyam Param Dhimahi Dharmaha Prochidha Kaitavotra Paramodirnat Saranam Satam Vedhyam Vastavam Atravastu Sivatam Tapatrayod Mulanam Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krute Kimva Parairisvaraha Sadhyo Hridi Avarudhyatehe Atra Krutivihi Sutrushivihi Tatshanat Nigama Kalpataror Galitam Phalam Sukamukat Amrita Dravasamyutam Pivata Bhagavatam Rasamalayam Bhuvaraho Rasikaha Bhuvi Bhavutaha Yam Pravrajantam Anupetam Apeta Krutyam Dvaipayado Viraha Katara Ajuhava Putre Pritat Mayataya Paravo Bhigedustam Sarvabhuta Hridayam Munimanatosmi Yahat Swanibhavam Akila Sutisaram Ekam Adhyatma Deepam Apititishatam Tamondhama Samsarinam Karunayaha Purana Gukhyam Tam Yasasunum Upayami Gurum Muninam Narayanam Namaskritya Dharanchaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet. Now, today with Bhagavan's grace, we will take up the birth of a Bhagavata, Parikshit, in our undertaking to review on a very brief summary manner only that we are doing this right now, because Bhagavatam has to be dived deep into. It's so beautiful, every one of them. But we are doing a summary review of Skandam 1, 2, and 3. As part of that, in Skandam 1, importantly, we covered the Kunti Stuti and Bhishma Stuti. Right, the war has ended, and we covered those. And now we will take up the birth of Parikshit, which is very important, a true bhakta. What happened? I'm telling this a little bit out of chronological sequence, because the Uttara comes running to him, and after that, the Aswamedha is done. Now, when Uttara comes running to Krishna, and Krishna says, right, at that time, what happened? This little fetus in the womb of his mother, and was an embryo, right? And all of a sudden, it saw the short arrow that was let off, shot by Aswathama, was flying towards him. And arrow was emitting sparks of fury, so to speak, and terror. It was so awesome. It was coming there to destroy him. At that very moment, this fetus also saw a person of brilliant charm, armed with a terrific wheel, a discus, and breaking the death-dealing arrow into 100 pieces. And this fetus was filled with wonder and gratitude. It was thinking, who was his savior? Who is he? He must also be dwelling in this room with me, because he could see the arrow at the same moment I saw it. But but he has such skill that he could destroy it before it reached me. Can he be my uterine brother? It was thinking. How could he get hold of that wheel? Now, if he is endowed with that wheel, how come I am missing it? No, he is not ordinary. He is not ordinary mortal. So, this fetus was arguing with itself like this for a long time. He could not forget that face. He could not forget that form, that beautiful face, the beautiful form. And this boy was a small boy. He was with splendor. So lustrous he was, like million suns. And he was so benign and blissful. And he was blue like the clear sky. After saving him so dramatically and mercifully, this little boy disappeared. But this little fetus always had this form before him because he was seeking to see him again. So, when he came out of his mother's womb, he was looking at every face to find out whether it was that form that corresponded to what he saw while he was in his mother's womb. Now, he was contemplating on this form as he was growing in the fetus, and this contemplation, this dhyanam, transformed him into a splendor-filled, lustrous boy. So when he came out of his mother's womb, the whole room was lit by a strange light. Everybody was wonderstruck at the birth of this boy. And the boy, the little fetus, kept looking at everyone as if it was searching for somebody. And because he was doing that, Parikshit, searching, examining, he was called Parikshit. Now, on the 10th day, people started talking how wondrous it is. The naming ceremony came. So Uttarai brought the little boy, and in the big palace hall, they had gathered, and the center of the hall was a beautiful golden plate. On top of that, rice, and then a silk cloth was laid. And Krishna was invited. Yudhishthira said, "Please, Krishna, you must come." So Krishna had also come. Beautiful hall. Uttarai comes and lays this little fetus, little boy on the golden plate, on the silk cloth. The moment the boy was laid down, he was only 10 days old, it immediately started crawling, looking for somebody. It made a straight beeline to where Krishna was seated and went right to his feet and looked up at him, beseeching him, "Please lift me up." As if now Krishna was smiling. He was playing with it. So he hid himself behind a pillar. But the little boy would not give up. Wherever Krishna hid himself, behind a chair, behind a pillar, wherever the little boy kept crawling only towards him. Then Krishna laughed aloud. So when the boy beseeched him with his look on his eyes to please lift me up, he lifted the boy up. He played with it, put the boy on his lap, and he laughed aloud and he told Yudhishthira, yes, I heard about this boy. People were telling me that he was always looking for somebody. And yes, your name, the thing you have selected, Parikshit, is indeed the most apt name for him. So from the birth, Parikshit, right till the moment his life breath left his body, was thinking only of Krishna. Amazing bhakta he was, amazing. And we're going to cover a little bit of that as we move along, because I just cannot contain myself from going into detail. The most auspicious, the most benevolent katha one can hear is the katha of Parikshit. And Bhagavatam, the whole Bhagavatam is nothing but the katha of Krishna that was narrated to Parikshit by none other than Sukhamuni himself. So really, we call Devamritam and all that, we say there is an Amritam that is available to us right here as you and I live, in our own limited fashion, with our weak mind, with our weak body, with our weak willpower, whatever deficiencies we have, it really doesn't matter. We may be overcome by anger, jealousy, greed, so many things we have problems with in life. It really does not matter. This katha that was told to Parikshit, if you and I listen to this, every problem will be solved and we can attain Bhagavan's lotus feet instantly. That's the power of this bhakta. It's really, there's no words to describe. It is truly nectarine, it is truly amritam, truly eternal, and truly so sweet that the sweetness, you never get tired of it. You want more and more and more, because that is the bhakta that Parikshit was. But let us continue with our Skandam 1, which is what I am duty bound to cover. After Parikshit was born, the Aswamedha Yagam was done. We saw that. And after the Aswamedha Yagam was done, the Kunti's prayer, right? Krishna was about to depart for Dwaraka, but Kunti comes and prays to him, and Krishna agrees to stay behind. And then, of course, we saw the Bhishma Stuti, which actually takes place chronologically before. After the exam, after the Aswamedha was done. And then, after Yudhishthira was pacified by the council from Bhishma, they all come back. And then they get the news that Vidura was coming. Vidura had left the kingdom because he advised Dhridarashtra. Remember, he was the younger brother of Dhridarashtra. Dhridarashtra, Pandu, and then Vidura. Now, the Vidura advised Dhritarashtra to not engage in war. He said, this is very bad. What you're doing is adharmic. But his counsel was not attended to, was not listened to, and so he did not want to be part of any of this. So he went away to the Himalaya, did penance, purified himself. Spiritually became such splendorous with no attachment, totally attaching himself only to Bhagavan. So when the news came to Yudhishthira that Vidura was spotted on the outskirts of the city, immediately he rushed and brought him there. And Vidura was walking nonchalantly on the street, as if an ordinary person. Yudhishthira ran, brought him back with beautiful hospitality, and he said, "Oh, you must climb up this chariot so all the others can have proper darshan of you." So they brought him back, and then they inquired in the asked about Vidura. Kunti was asking him about. Vidura was telling them all the places that he went to, and all the. Now another thing is, before Vidura came, okay, after the Bhishma Stuti was done and all that, then Krishna went to Dwaraka. Remember, he postponed, delayed his departure after Kunti's prayer. Now, when he went, he took Arjuna with him. So, only the four of the Panchapandavas were left behind here. So, Arjuna was with Krishna, and they had gone for 36 years. Krishna was 84 years old during the war. Arjuna was 82. And so, when the 36 years when Krishna left his body, it's 84 plus 36. Okay, that's 120. And so please remember that. Those days, the full life is either 120 or 116 or 100 years. Okay, different Vedas describe this. Let's not get into that. So, 36 years is gone, and Yudhishthira was waiting here because they could not bear the separation from Krishna, and the Kunti was also, they were all talking. Vidura comes, so they were discussing with Vidura, and very beautiful Vidura says all the places he has been to, and Kunti tells him, Vidura, you left us in the war time, but we could not, your advice is very correct, we could not save the lives of the sons of Draupadi or the sons of Subhadra, etc. And then, so tell us, all the places that you've been to. And so he went when he was prodded, and then he mentioned Dwaraka. The moment he said Dwaraka that he had been to, Bhima immediately intercepted. Oh, why you went to Dwaraka? Tell us, how is Krishna there? And how is Arjuna? How are they, etc. So many things here. And Kunti Devi could not control herself. She said, oh, you must have met Krishna there, isn't it? No, please tell us in detail what happened. And now I know my son is there, Arjuna, but you must have seen him also. How are they all? How are the old parents? The Nanda, Yasoda, Devaki, and Vasudeva and all that. So she kept on shower of questions. She kept throwing at him. And then Vidura had to reply. But he was not eager to reply because when he went to Dwaraka, he had heard that Krishna had departed, left his body, and he did not want to be the one to break that news, because he knew that Arjuna was also coming and he will bring that news. So he did not want to share that news with the Pandavas and the other four Pandavas and Kunti Devi. So he changed the subject. And then night fell, and Vidura, they put Vidura in a beautiful, gave the proper accommodation, very luxurious, private, comfortable accommodation, night for him to sleep. As soon as Yudhishthira took leave and left, Vidura did not feel like sleeping. Immediately he left his room and went to the room where Dhridarashtra and Kandari were there. And because he had come here with a purpose in mind, and the purpose was, so he went to Dhridarashtra and Gandhari, and now, after the war, Dhritarashtra and Gandhari were alive. Yudhishthira brought them, took care of them as his own parents. It's a beautiful lesson to learn from Yudhishthira. Okay, unbelievable. He attended to every need. He was very respectful. All the administrative detailed decisions he made, he submitted to Dhritarashtra, got his approval and blessing before he executed it. Every night before they were retired, he used to go and inquire how they are. Every morning, as soon as they got up, he used to go and fall at their feet, take their blessings. These are all things that happened 5,000 odd years ago. Unbelievable cultural heritage, okay, compared to where we are today. Very unfortunate, but Kali Yuga. So Dhritarashtra and Gandhari were waiting. And so Yudhishthira came, and then he retired to go to bed. And they also heard that Vidura had come. So they're waiting for Vidura to come, because if Vidura has come, so he'll come and call on us. And Vidura came after everybody had gone to sleep. He came there. And then Dhritarashtra told him, hey, I'm so happy that Yudhishthira is taking care of me so well. Better than my own son. Vidura laughed at him in derision. He said, don't you have a sense of shame? He said, that you're talking like this? The Yudhishthira may do this. Dharmaputra, Dharmaraja will do this out of his goodness. Care for you more than his own father. He might look after you with a love greater than your own sons. That only reflects his character. That's all. But it's a significance, an amplification of the name that he's carrying. But don't you have any sense of shame? Don't you want to plan for your own future? One of your legs is already in the grave, and you're blindly filling your stomach in comfort and rolling in luxury. Reflect for a moment how you tortured Dharmaraja and his brothers to fulfill the wicked intentions of your evil sons. How you defied strategy after strategy for their extinction. You put them in a wax house and you set fire to it. You attempted to poison them. You insulted their queen in the most humiliating manner. In the vast assembly, you and your abominable brood, they pile grief over grief, suffering over suffering on the sons of Pandu, your own brother. You're blind You are senile. You are thick-skinned elephant. You sat on the throne, perpetually asking those beside you, what is happening now? What is happening now? How can you stay in this place enjoying Dharmaraja's hospitality, rolling over your mind the harm, the cruelty, the iniquity, the violence that have been perpetrated by you for his destruction? When you were devising their end, at that time, did he cease to be your cousin, your brother's son? Or did that relationship grow only now, when you came to them for staying? You tell me so proudly that they're treating you well. What? Without a shred of shame. And then he continued. He said, you speak wise. The disaster game of dice took place at your initiative, isn't it? Do you deny it? No, I was a witness to that game. I advised you against it. Did you take it to heart? What happened then to the love and sympathy which you are now freely pouring forth on him? Today, like a dog, you are gulping the food the Pandavas are placing before you and leading this despicable life. Dhridarashtra spoke very harshly. And Dhridarashtra was pained. He said, brother, what is this? Your words are piercing my heart. And then Dhridarashtra said, he was speaking only the truth. And then he said, listen, my brother, he said you must go and give up this life and take up sadhana. Then Dhridarashtra said, but how can I do? I'm blind. So I cannot go to the forest. And I must have a companion. What will I do? Because if I go there without food, what will Gandhari? She never leaves me for a moment. Vidura saw that at least Dhridarashtra was now open to the idea of renunciation, but he didn't let up. He spoke even more harshly. He said, you have become blind because of your attachment to the body. How long can you be burdened with it? You have to drop it by the wayside someday, someplace. So then he taught him beautifully, you are not the body. The package of nauseating things that you call the body, no, you are not that. You don't identify yourself with that. And then he said that time is like a cobra. It can bite you anytime. So right this moment, leave without delay and meditate on Bhagavam and save yourself and let death come and carry you away, your body there. That is the most excellent end. Then he kept pouncing and talking convincingly, and then Dhritarashtra's heart changed. Yes, I must do it. But then he had one final question. He said, how can I leave from here without informing Dharmaraja, who is looking after me so beautifully? But it won't be proper to do so. Then if I tell him that he might insist on coming along with us, his nature is such that he must save me from this dilemma. Take me to a place where I can engage myself in sadhana. When he pleaded this way, Vidura said, your words sound strange, brother. You're not going to the forest to eat banquets, to witness carnivals, or to enjoy the beauty of the scenery. You're giving up everything with a full sense of detachment. You're taking up a life of austerity and spiritual discipline. And in the same breath, you're talking of taking leave of kith and kin. This is strange. And then, it is move out of this place right now with just the clothes you're wearing. Don't waste a single moment in your life. So Vidura advised him without mercy. He did not change the tune of his song. He emphasized the importance of immediate renunciation. Dhridarashtra was on his bed listening intently and then thinking what he should do. Then he said, Vidura, what you say is quite true. I did not describe to you my special difficulties. This body is going to go temporary. These eyes are blind. I must have someone at least to guide my steps, isn't it? And your sister-in-law has blinded her eyes by a bandage in order that she can share my handicap and suffer similarly. How can we two blind persons move about in the forest? We have to be dependent on others all our lives. He was crying actually because of his helpless situation. Then he said, but he didn't, Vidura felt pity but did not show it. He said, assuringly, he comforted him. Well, I am prepared to take you to the forest. I am ready. What greater pleasure have I than releasing you from here for the sacred purpose? Come on, get up. Let us go. Vidura stood up. Dhridarashtra also stood up. Gandhari stood by his side. With a hand on his shoulder, she said, oh my Lord, I am also coming with you, ready for anything. But Dhridarashtra said, no, it's very hard to guard women in the jungle, etc. He tried to dissuade her, but did not succeed. Then Dhridarashtra did not know what to say, how to convince Gandhari from not accompanying him. But then Vidura spoke. He said, this is not the niceties to discuss about dharma. How can this lady who never stayed away from you a single moment suddenly leave your company and live apart? It is not proper. Let her also come. We shall take her. Because for those who march forward to do tapas and austerities and sadhana, there should be no fear or delusion, no hunger, no thirst, no grief, no suffering. It is not tapas to complain of these or anticipate these. When the body itself is being disavowed, what can all these relations do? Come on. There is no justification for delay. Vidura moved forward, leading Dhridarashtra silently, followed by Gandhari, who had her hand on his shoulder. Now, the saintly messenger of God, the Vidura, took the pair unnoticed by the gods and the citizens of the city. He went through the side streets and out beyond the city limits. He hurried them on so that they may reach the forest before dawn. But the Ganga had to be crossed in a boat, and no boatman was there to take them across before sunrise. So they had to wait on the bank of that holy river. Then Vidura made them rest for a while, and he himself arranged for a boat to take them across. Then Dhridarashtra and Gandhari reached the forest along with Vidura. Vidura searched for a site where they could practice tapas. He also advised them on the best means of seeking self-realization. They spent the day in holy company and holy thoughts. And then they were very joyfully contemplating on God. Dhridarashtra and Gandhari were doing that, seated in the prescribed postures with their minds rigorously under control. When they were thus lost in divine contemplation and immersed in the supreme bliss, a huge forest fire swept along, consuming them too in its fierce onslaught. Now, Vidura had a great desire to cast off his body at the holy center of Bhagavath Kshetra. So he escaped the fire, and he was filled with joy at the immense good fortune of the couple. So he continued his pilgrimage. Now, that I think we'll conclude that for today. And then what happened to Dhridarashtra next morning when he gets up and comes to take his namaskarams, offer his namaskarams from and blessing from Dhridarashtra. What happened subsequent to that? All those things we will take up tomorrow with Bhagavan's grace. Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Samastalokaha Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastalokaha Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastalokaha Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Santik Santik Santik. Hari Om.